I take inspiration from all sorts of different places. I'm really interested in ancient jewellery, antique jewellery, vintage finds. I'm always drawn to pattern, texture and decorative details. So even just when I'm walking along the street, I'm zooming in and on the hunt for interesting details that can catch my eye, like a manhole cover or a decorative iron gate. My name is Min Best, and I'm a contemporary jewellery designer and maker based in Bristol. For as long as I can remember, I have always been obsessed with jewellery and anything on a miniature scale. My mum is an artist and a miniature model maker, and I would sit with her and make things through playing, and she was always really encouraging. Through that process of playing and watching what she was doing, I developed a trained eye quite early on. I was always super focused on the details, and everything had to be neat and tidy and precise. When we were kids, my parents used to take us on holiday to St Ives in Cornwall, and each year they would buy us a little trinket as a memento of our trip. I always gravitated towards the silver jewellery workshop in the craft market. I loved how you could see inside the workshop. You could see all the tools and the unfinished silver, and the contrast with the dust and the dirt and the grub in the workshop. In this place, they sold a version of a Cornish love knot, and they would have a tray of about 50 of these rings on display. And even though each one was the same design, they were all very unique and had their own personality and character. And I would always look at them and try and figure out how they were made. One year, my parents bought me one of these Cornish love knots, and it was probably the first piece of handmade jewellery that I ever really owned. It really sparked curiosity within me. That same year, my mum said to me, "You know, you could make jewellery when you're older." And that was it then. I was off. I studied applied arts at Derby University, where I worked in various different materials, combining mixed media with precious metals. After leaving there, I moved to Bristol and straight away gained work with Diana Porter in her workshop, where I stayed for a total period of about 20 years. While I was working there, I was offered a job with Aardman Animations as a model maker, and Diana was very supportive and she sent me on my way. So I went to work as a model maker on the Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Were Rabbit film. It was such a contrast from working with silver to then working with soft materials like plasticine. It was after that my work started to develop more into precious materials and incorporating colour. My processes are quite experimental and playful. I like to play with the materials and develop different ways of manipulating the metal or creating patterns and textures. A lot of the work that I make is hand stamped with various textures, and these layer up to create different effects. I'll take different samples that I've created and different effects and use them in the same piece. I will cut the pieces up and repurpose them, reposition them, and mix and match them until I'm happy with the shapes and the proportions and the different elements that go into the design. Sometimes I'll find samples that I've had for many years and I haven't really worked out what I'm doing with them, but nothing is ever wasted. And I like to use all that information that I've gathered in the process to create something better. I have called my collection the finishing touch. This could imply the finishing touch of an outfit for a special, memorable occasion. It could also refer to the embellishments and the decorative details that have gone into the piece itself. You could also talk about the maker's mark itself being the finishing touch, and the final buff or the final polish or the sparkles from the gemstone, all of which help to create an elevated mood or feeling to help the wearer feel and look as special as can be. My pieces can start life in a number of different ways. I love to draw, But sometimes the pieces can simply be guided by the processes that I've found, a nice decorative process, something that I think would enhance a nice gemstone or just create a pretty pattern. Sometimes I will start with a gemstone and that choice of stone will tell me what it needs. I try to go for unusual cuts or unusual colours or something that might spark curiosity. I like to create a little air of mystique, and I like people to question how things are made and what the stones are, and provide people with something that they haven't really seen before. I would describe my pieces as modern heirloom pieces with a blend of old and new. I like the idea of my pieces being timeless and having longevity. They're suitable for every day with comfort in mind, but also suitable for very special, memorable occasions. My favourite pieces are the ones that I've made out of wax, which I've incorporated more of a three-dimensional quality. The process of working with wax is such a lovely fluid material and is very forgiving, and it's also colourful, so it's very different to working with metal, and I really like that introduction of the more three-dimensional quality to the pieces, and that refers back to the sculpture that I did when I was model making. I also really love the chandelier earrings because they are a real show-stopping piece. They have a lot of glitz and glamour about them. They're super sparkly and they shimmer when they catch the light and move, and they showcase a lot of my different processes. But I think to wear, I would probably go for the starburst pendant, because that is just a really beautiful everyday piece that can be worn with anything, go from day to night.